8 signs he's serious about you. Not just having fun, Carl Jung. Before we begin, pause for a moment, because deep down, you already feel it. There is a difference between a man who is simply enjoying your presence and a man who is slowly, quietly building something real with you. The difficulty is, he doesn't always say it directly. He doesn't sit you down and announce, "I'm serious about you." Instead, he shows it in ways that are easy to overlook if you're only paying attention to words. And that's where most people get confused. They listen to what he says, but they don't study how he moves. Because psychology tells us something very important. When a man is serious about you, his behavior becomes consistent with long-term thinking, not temporary emotion, not convenient, not impulse, but intention. And intention always reveals itself over time. So if you've been wondering, is this real, or is he just enjoying the moment? What you're about to hear will bring you clarity. Because there are specific patterns, subtle but powerful, that only show up when a man is not just passing through your life, but considering staying. Sign 1, consistency. Not just intense at the beginning. Almost any man can be intense. He can text often, call you late at night, and make you feel seen, wanted, and chosen. But intensity is easy. Consistency is where the truth lives, because intensity is driven by emotion. Consistency is driven by intention. And when a man is serious about you, you start to notice something shift. He doesn't disappear after strong moments. He doesn't only show up when it's convenient. He doesn't create emotional highs followed by confusing silence. Instead, he becomes predictable in a way that feels safe. Not boring, not routine, but steady. You begin to know that when he says he'll call, he calls. When he says he'll see you, he shows up. When he makes space for you in his life, it stays open. And this matters more than most people realize, because psychologically, consistency builds emotional safety. And emotional safety is the foundation of long-term connection. A man who is just having fun with you operates in waves. He appears when he feels like it. He disappears when something else pulls his attention. There is no structure, no stability, no reliability. But a man who is serious understands something, even if he never says it out loud. If he wants to keep you, he cannot keep you guessing. So he removes the guesswork, not with promises, but with presence. And here is where you need to pay attention, because consistency is not about perfection. He may still be busy. He may still have moments where he pulls back slightly. But even in those moments, there is still a thread connecting you. He doesn't vanish. He communicates. He maintains the connection. That is the difference. You will feel it. Not as excitement, but as calm. And calm in relationships is often mistaken for lack of passion. But in reality, calm is what happens when something is real. Sign 2. Inclusion in future plans. He includes you in his future, even in small ways. A man who is not serious lives in the present. Everything is about now. Now conversations. Now plans. Now feelings. There is no extension beyond the moment. But when a man begins to see you as part of something more, you start to appear in his future, and not always in big, dramatic ways. In small, almost casual ways. He says things like, "We should go there sometime. You'd like this place. You should meet my friend. You'd get along with my sister." And it may seem insignificant at first, just words, just conversation. But psychologically, this is projection. He is placing you into spaces that do not exist yet. And people only do that when they feel a sense of continuity, when they expect something to last. Because the mind does not naturally plan with someone it sees as temporary. It stays in the present. It avoids attachment. It avoids investment. But when he begins to speak about the future, even lightly, it means you have moved from experience to possibility. And here is something even deeper. Watch how comfortable he is doing it. If he hesitates, if he pulls back after saying something future-oriented, that can signal uncertainty. But when he says it naturally, without overthinking or correcting himself, it means something inside him has already accepted you as part of his timeline. And again, he may never sit you down and define it. He may not label it immediately, but his behavior will reveal it. Because seriousness doesn't begin with labels. It begins with alignment, with how he sees you fitting into his life. You'll notice something else too. When he talks about the future, he doesn't talk around you. He talks with you in mind. And that subtle shift is one of the clearest signs that what he feels is not temporary. Now pause for a moment, because these first two signs already tell you something important. A man who is serious does not just feel something. There is a moment in every connection where things begin to shift. Sign 3. Staying through difficult moments. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, in ways that only become clear if you slow down enough to notice them. Because a man who is serious about you doesn't just show up when things feel good. He shows you who he is when things are not easy. And that is where the difference becomes undeniable. He handles difficult moments without disappearing. This is where many people finally see the truth. Because anyone can be present when everything feels light, when there is no tension, no misunderstanding, no emotional weight. But the real measure of seriousness is not how he behaves when everything is smooth. It's how he behaves when something feels uncomfortable. A man who is just having fun with you avoids discomfort. If something feels complicated, he pulls away. If a conversation becomes emotional, he shuts down. If there is tension, he disappears. Not always in obvious ways, sometimes subtly. He becomes distant, less available, less engaged. And suddenly, you are left holding the emotional weight alone. But a man who is serious about you moves differently. He doesn't run at the first sign of difficulty. He may not handle everything perfectly. He may not always have the right words, but he stays. He leans in. He tries to understand. And this matters more than most people realize. Because psychologically, avoidance is a sign of low emotional investment, while engagement, even imperfect engagement, is a sign of commitment. When someone cares deeply, they don't want to lose the connection. So they work through things, not because it's easy, but because it matters. You will feel the difference. In one situation, you feel alone in the connection. On the other hand, you feel like you are facing things together. And here is the deeper truth. A man who stays during difficult moments is showing you something words cannot. He is showing you that you are not just part of his comfort. You are part of his priority. He respects your boundaries without testing them. This is subtle, but incredibly powerful, because respect is not what someone says. It is what they consistently honor. A man who is not serious will test your boundaries, not always in obvious ways, sometimes lightly, sometimes playfully, but consistently. He pushes, he delays, he ignores small things you've clearly expressed, and then watch how you respond. Why? Like education. Because when someone is unsure about you, they measure how much they can get away with. They test the limits of your tolerance. And each time a boundary is not upheld, their level of respect quietly decreases. Sign 4. Respecting boundaries. A man who is serious about you does something very different. He pays attention, not just to what you say, but to what matters to you. And once he understands your boundaries, he doesn't challenge them. He adjusts to them. This is not about control. It's about alignment. Because when someone values you, they don't want to be the source of your discomfort. They want to be someone you feel safe with. And safety is built through consistency, through small, repeated actions that show, I hear you and I respect you. I'm not here to cross your limits. You'll notice it in simple ways. He doesn't pressure you. He doesn't rush you. He doesn't make you feel like your needs are inconvenient. Instead, he makes space for them, naturally, without resistance. And this creates something powerful. Trust not the kind that is spoken about, but the kind that is felt. Because when someone respects your boundaries, you don't feel like you have to protect yourself around them. You don't feel like you have to explain yourself repeatedly. You don't feel like you have to stay on guard. And that is how you know he is not just enjoying your presence, he is valuing it. Now pause again, because what you're starting to see is this. A man who is serious doesn't just stay when things are easy. He shows respect when it would be easier not to. By now, something should already feel clearer. Because when a man is serious about you, you don't have to build the connection alone. You don't have to constantly question where you stand. There is a quiet sense of movement, forward, stable, and real. And what you're about to understand next goes deeper than surface behavior. Because these signs are not about what he says, they're about how he chooses to show up over time, even when there is no pressure, even when there is no reward. Sign 5. Investing effort despite inconvenience. This is where intention becomes undeniable. Because effort is not measured by how someone shows up when it's easy. It is revealed in what they are willing to do when it requires adjustment. A man who is just having fun with you will give effort in moments that feel natural. When he's free, when he's in the mood, when everything aligns easily. But the moment something requires planning, sacrifice, or stepping outside his comfort, his effort fades. But a man who is serious about you does not rely on convenience. He creates effort. He makes time. He adjusts his schedule, not in a dramatic or forced way, but in a consistent, intentional way. You begin to notice it in small things. He checks in not because he has to, but because he wants to. He plans not because you asked, but because he's thinking ahead. He shows up even when he could have chosen not to. And here is what psychology tells us. Effort is one of the clearest indicators of value. People invest energy into what they don't want to lose. So when a man is serious about you, his actions begin to reflect that. You are no longer just part of his free time. You become something he protects time for. And the most important part, you don't have to convince him to do it. You don't have to remind him. And you don't have to wonder if you're asking for too much. Because when someone values you, effort does not feel like pressure. It feels like alignment. Sign 6. Emotional openness. This is where the connection shifts from surface to depth. Because attraction can exist without emotional openness, and chemistry can exist without vulnerability. But seriousness requires both. A man who is just having fun with you will keep things light, playful, and surface level. Even if he shares things about himself, they often stay within safe limits. Nothing too deep, nothing too exposing, nothing that truly requires vulnerability. But a man who is serious about you begins to open in a different way, not all at once, not dramatically, but gradually. He shares thoughts he doesn't usually express. He talks about things that matter to him. He lets you see parts of himself that are not polished, not perfect, not controlled. This is significant because emotionally opening up requires trust, a sense of safety, and a belief that what he shares will be received, not judged or dismissed. Men especially are often selective about where they place that level of vulnerability. So when he begins to open up to you, it means something. You are no longer just someone he enjoys being around. You are someone he feels safe being real with. This creates a deeper connection, one that goes beyond attraction, one that builds emotional attachment. You will notice it in how conversations change to become more meaningful, more honest, less performative. There is less trying to impress and more willingness to be understood. And here is the deeper truth. A man who allows himself to be emotionally seen by you is not just passing time. He is investing something that cannot be easily taken back. People do not do that unless they see something lasting. Now pause again, because at this point, the pattern should be clear. A man who is serious does not just stay. He invests, he opens, he shows you, in quiet ways, that you matter beyond the moment. At this point, something inside you should already feel different. Because when you stop looking for loud confirmation and start observing quiet patterns, clarity becomes easier. You no longer need constant reassurance. You begin to see it in how he moves, in how he responds, in how he stays. And the final two signs bring everything together because they reveal something deeper than attraction. They reveal how he sees you in his life long term, not just in moments, but in meaning. Sign 7. Intentional use of time. There is a difference between a man who spends time with you and a man who is intentional about that time. At first, it may feel the same. You see each other, you talk, you connect, but over time, the difference becomes clear. A man who is just having fun will be present when he's there, but there is no structure, no planning, no deeper thought behind how time is spent. Everything is spontaneous, unpredictable, sometimes exciting, but often inconsistent. But a man who is serious about you treats time differently. He doesn't just show up, he plans to show up. He thinks ahead, makes space, considers what would make time together meaningful, not just available. This is subtle but powerful, because intentional time creates emotional depth. It shows that you are not just part of his routine, you are part of his focus. You will notice it in how he plans things. Not always big gestures, sometimes simple, but thoughtful and consistent. He doesn't wait until the last minute. He doesn't leave everything uncertain. He doesn't make you feel like an option. Instead, you feel considered. You feel chosen. And psychologically, this matters deeply because intention signals value. It shows that someone is not just reacting to the moment. They are investing in what comes next. When a man begins to treat time with you this way, it means he is not just enjoying your presence. He is prioritizing it. Sign 8. Alignment between words and actions. This is the final sign, and the most important one, because everything comes back to this. Do what he does, match what he says. A man who is not serious can say all the right things, express interest, make promises, and create moments that feel real. But over time, the inconsistency reveals itself. His words stay strong, but his actions weaken. And this creates confusion because you begin to question, maybe he means it, maybe he's just busy, maybe I'm overthinking. But here is the truth. When words and actions do not align, it is not a misunderstanding. It is a message. Now, contrast that with a man who is serious. He may not always say everything perfectly. He may not be overly expressive. But what he says, he backs up. If he says he'll call, he calls. If he says, hell, see you, he shows up. If he says you matter, his actions reflect it. There is no constant gap between what you hear and what you experience. There is alignment, and alignment creates trust, because trust is not built on words. It is built on repeated, consistent behavior. When a man's actions match his words, you stop questioning everything. You stop overanalyzing. and you stop searching for hidden meanings because there is nothing hidden. Everything is clear, and clarity is one of the strongest signs of seriousness. Now take a breath, because what you've just seen across all 8 signs is this. A man who is serious about you does not create confusion. He creates consistency, respect, effort, and clarity. But there is something even deeper you need to understand, because sometimes, even when all the signs are there, you may still question yourself. And that is what we will explore next. By now, you've seen the external signs: consistency, effort, respect, emotional openness, alignment. All of it points to one thing. Seriousness is not loud. It is steady. But there is something just as important as what he shows you. Something most people overlook. Something that can either bring you clarity or keep you stuck in confusion. It's this: how you feel around him over time. Because even when all the signs are there, if you don't trust what you feel, you will still question everything. And here is what psychology reveals. Your nervous system often recognizes safety and seriousness before your mind fully understands it. And your body feels calm, not constantly activated. This is one of the clearest internal signals, and yet it is often misunderstood. Many people are used to intensity, to emotional highs and lows, to uncertainty that creates excitement, and to inconsistency that feels like passion. So when something steady appears, something calm, something grounded, it can feel unfamiliar. And unfamiliar can be mistaken for boring. But here is the truth. When a man is serious about you, your body does not stay in a constant state of alert. You are not overanalyzing every message. You are not waiting anxiously for him to respond. And you are not questioning where you stand every day. Instead, there is a sense of ease, a quiet knowing, and a stability that allows you to relax into the connection. This matters deeply because your nervous system is always scanning for safety, for consistency, and for reliability. When those things are present, your body softens, your thoughts slow down, and your need to control or figure everything out begins to fade. That is not a lack of emotion. That is emotional security. You don't feel like you have to perform to keep his interest. This is another subtle but powerful shift, because in uncertain connections, you often feel like you have to maintain something, be more interesting, say the right things, act a certain way, and this allows you to be more natural, more honest, more yourself, because seriousness creates space for you to exist without constantly adjusting. And here is why this matters. When someone is only having fun, their interest is often tied to stimulation, to novelty, to how you make them feel in the moment. But when someone is serious, their interest is tied to connection to who you are, not just how you perform. You feel emotionally considered, not just emotionally experienced. This is one of the deepest indicators, and one of the easiest to miss, because there is a difference between someone who feels things with you and someone who considers you emotionally. A man who is just having fun can share emotions with you, laugh with you, connect with you, even open up at times. But he doesn't always think about how his actions affect you. He reacts in the moment without deeper awareness. But a man who is serious about you becomes more aware, more thoughtful, more intentional with how he shows up. He considers your feelings, not in a performative way, but in a natural, consistent way. You will notice it in small moments. He chooses his words more carefully, pays attention to how you respond, adjusts when something feels off. And this is not about perfection. It's about awareness. Because when someone values you, they don't just experience you, they think about you. And that creates a deeper form of connection, one that feels stable, respectful, real. Now pause again, Because what you're beginning to understand is this: a man who is serious about you doesn't just show it externally. You feel it internally, in your body, in your thoughts, in your emotional state. And that feeling is not something you have to force. It emerges naturally when the connection is aligned. But there is one final piece, one truth that brings everything together. Because even when all of this is present, you still have a role in what happens next. And that is what we will close with. At this point, you no longer need to guess, because what you've seen across these signs is not random behavior. It is a pattern that reveals intention, consistency, effort, respect, emotional openness, alignment, clarity, and most importantly, a sense of calm presence that doesn't leave you questioning your place. But here is the final truth you need to understand, because this is where everything either becomes clear or becomes confusing again. Seriousness is not something you chase, it's something you recognize. This is the shift, the moment where your role changes. When you are unsure, you tend to look for signs, analyze behavior, search for confirmation to understand what something means. But when you begin to recognize seriousness clearly, you stop chasing clarity. You start observing it. You don't need to convince someone to be serious about you. You don't need to guide them into it. You don't need to prove your worth in order to receive it, because real seriousness shows up on its own. And this is where many people get stuck, because they recognize some signs but ignore others. They see effort but overlook inconsistency. They feel connection but ignore confusion. They hear words but question actions. And slowly, they begin to adjust themselves to fit something that isn't fully aligned. But here is what you need to remember. A man who is truly serious about you does not require you to shrink yourself to understand him. He becomes clearer over time, not more confusing, more aligned, not more distant, more consistent, not more uncertain, more present. And if you ever find yourself constantly trying to figure him out, trying to interpret mixed signals, trying to hold onto moments while ignoring patterns, then something important is missing, because seriousness does not create ongoing confusion. It creates clarity. You deserve consistency, not potential. This is where many people hesitate, because potential feels powerful. It feels like something that could become something real, but potential is not commitment. Potential is possibility. A man who is serious about you does not ask you to wait for him to become consistent. He already is. He does not ask you to interpret his intentions. He shows them. This doesn't mean everything is perfect. There will still be growth, moments of misunderstanding, and learning. But the foundation will be there, stable, clear, and real. When that foundation exists, you feel it not as excitement that comes and goes, but as something steady that stays. Your role is not to prove your value. It is to recognize where it is valued. This is the final shift, and the most important one. Because once you understand these signs, you stop asking, "Is he serious about me?" and start asking, "Is this aligned with what I deserve?" You move from seeking validation to recognizing value, and this changes everything. Now, you are not waiting to be chosen. You are observing who is choosing you clearly. You are not trying to make something work. You are noticing what already works naturally. When you meet a man who is serious, you will not feel confused. You will feel seen, considered, respected, emotionally safe, and, most importantly, you will feel like you don't have to question it every day. If something in this video felt familiar, if you recognize these signs or maybe even realized what has been missing, then take that awareness seriously, because awareness is where everything begins to change. You are not asking for too much. You are asking for the right things. consistency, clarity, respect, effort. The right person will not make you feel like those things are difficult to give. He will give them naturally because, to him, they won't feel like effort, they will feel like a gift. And that is how you know.